Welcome to Live with the Bride show. I am Tori with Passera Events, owner and creative director, and this is Sarah right beside me.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Schreiber, former weddings editor turned wedding consultant, and today we are talking about a few hot things: how to keep that guest count nice and low, some weather drama, and an amazing vintage fashion find, an amazing 2012 Amzala wedding dress.
All right, guys, we're here with our fashionista, Payton Carter, and our queen bee, and clearly her outfits, everything.
Thank you.
And obviously, Sarah here is an avid thrifter, as y'all may know, and Payton is great at thrifting too and fashion. So here we are.
Yeah, here we are. I love your wedding dress story.
Thank you.
And I really think that that is the place for us to start. Your 2012 Amzala wedding dress.
Thank you.
That you found covered in dust.
Yes.
So I'm going to pass that to you because we need to know, where did you find that? Vintage, thrifting, the brides need to know.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was such an insane story. So right before I found that dress, I'd been wedding dress shopping with my mom and my sister in Birmingham. We did a few boutiques there, and I knew I wanted a drop waist dress, which now I feel like they're very prevalent. But like even at that time I was seeing them, but I was like, I don't actually know how I'm going to find this. And so I made a few appointments in Charleston. We were going up to see some friends and just had a day. All my friends were working because it was like a Friday morning. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try and go and see if I can just try some dresses on here. And within the wedding dress shopping experience, I feel like people either go one way. Like they either are like, I want everyone I know it, like all my friends to be there.
Yep.
Or it's like, I want to kind of just have this experience on my own.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted like my mom and my sister there. And then other than that, I'm like, I'm good. I don't really need anyone else there. But my one girlfriend, Whitney, who lives in Charleston, told me about these places to go.
Okay.
And Whitney is also just she has the best personality in the sense that like I knew if I walked out in a trash bag, she was going to hype me up. And like even if
Everybody needs a hype girl.
Yes.
You need a hype girl in the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like even if it was like something that she was probably like, girl, not for you. The way she would say it is just like a way that I knew would be so like endearing and not hurt my feelings, or like I would also appreciate the feedback.
Yeah.
So we ended up going to a boutique. That whole experience was very interesting in the sense that like we walk in, we're her first appointment, and the woman that was doing my appointment owns this same boutique. So that was nice that like she was very aware of what she had. And she pulls out this dress and she was like, I've had this for years. Like, I don't know if you're gonna like it, but try it on, maybe you will. So it's the first dress I tried on, and I was like, holy shit, I actually think this is it. And I FaceTimed my mom, and she was like, oh my God, I think that is it. Like, but it was tore up. Like, it was a bit rough.
Yeah.
It had these like silk appliques, kind of
floral.
all, the
Yeah.
big like roses all over it. And all those pieces, there were so many pieces that were literally just torn and hanging off. But I got it at an insane deal. I think I literally got that dress for like $1,500 or something, which like initially she was like, this is a $10,000 dress.
Of course.
But
2012 Amzala.
Yes.
Right?
She was like, I've had it for literally since 2012.
Yeah.
And she was like, this is a couture gown. Like it walked down the runway. They don't even make this line anymore is what she told me. And she was like, so I just haven't had the heart to like give it away because like someone literally hand did all these pieces.
Craftsmanship, like it's just next level.
I mean, truly. And so thankfully also I have an amazing tailor in Birmingham, and she worked like for hours saving this dress. She cleaned it. She did all these pieces. She found like hidden inside that dress, that little like heart piece. That literally we found like a piece of fabric in the shape of a heart, which was so weird. But it had the name of the dress on it. And I think the year.
Yeah, and her signature. Like,
yes.
Amsel signed it.
Yeah.
It was insane. And because I was trying to like reverse Google image it, and I like couldn't really find anything on this dress. I think I found it on like one random resale website.
Wow.
But yeah, and then it just like worked out. It somehow got all completed and didn't fall apart and didn't disintegrate walking down the aisle. I was kind of afraid that it might do that because the silk was just like it's so fine. It's crazy.
I remember your mom calling me like a month before the wedding.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, she was stressing just about so much with tailoring and her dress and your dress. She's like, we are down to the wire. I'm like, this lady, it's fine. Like she's going to do it. It's totally fine. And it all worked out. But man, she was like really worried. She was like, we are like reconstructing, like gutting this dress. She's like imagining a house, but we're gutting it. And I'm like, no, it's going to be phenomenal. And
it was crazy.
It literally was the moment. It's just crazy to see where it started. And
it's wild. Well, she came to Kiowa.
Oh my God.
The tailor.
Yeah.
Because she was like, she called me because I was like, I have to go. Like, we have to take this dress. And she was like, can you give me one more night? And I was like, no. Like, the time is done. We are leaving. And I was like, it's great as it is. Yeah. I can't stay here any longer. Like, we have to go to where we're getting married. And she ended up like texting me, I think, because I stayed all that week prior to the wedding, which I'm so grateful that like we had that time just to like decompress and like settle in. But she texted me, I think on that Tuesday or Wednesday and was like, I'm like losing sleep. I feel like I didn't complete this dress. I'm going to come to Kiowa and like finish this for you. And so that was a whole nother thing. And then my mom was really freaking out because she's like, what? Why is she coming? What does she want? And I was like, she's going to finish the dress.
It's not done.
They
what
didn't
do you
tell
mean?
me that story.
Yes. It was insane. Wow. So literally she
her.
came and delivered it to the house the night of our rehearsal.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Your wedding dress was delivered to you on the night of your rehearsal dinner.
Yes.
We are talking down to the wire.
Literally.
Were you stressed?
Honestly, at that point, I was like, what can I do? Like,
Okay.
I don't know if it chill's the right word, but I also was like, it's going to be fine. Like, I was like, the dress looked fine before she's saying that she needs to do all these last minute things. I do think it felt like sturdier because all these pieces were like so intricate and also so delicate. I was happy that she like was able to take it and like do some extra little touches. Just because again, I was like, it was such a delicate dress. Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing. Okay. You said at one point that this was the first dress that you tried on. Was this the very first dress that you tried on?
Well, it was the first dress I tried on like within that day of appointments.
Okay.
So before that, I went to a few different boutiques in Birmingham, tried on a few there. And there were some that all the dresses I tried on, which probably this is like an odd experience, but I was like, oh, I like this dress. But I'm like, I don't think it's me. I don't think it's my wedding dress. But I'm like, it's beautiful. I see it.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I just am like not head over heels.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want that feeling of like, what you see on TV where like the second you try it on, you're like, oh my God. And like, I didn't cry, but like, it was like, you just know, you know?
Yeah, and you would say you felt that way. You really knew when you put this on.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then I did do the thing where like you still see pictures on Pinterest and things like that after, and you're like, did I make the right choice? Yeah. Should I go look again? But I knew like if I tried on more dresses or like went to other appointments, I was like, I'm just gonna get in my own head. So I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
What's your take on brides? Do you think they should go to multiple different places and try on a lot of dresses? Do you think they should find a boutique that has certain designers and stick to that? If you could redo that process, would you still do it the same exact way?
I mean, I think I would do it the same because I found this like, needle in a haystack dress. But I do think like I think if I were to change and say like I had all the time in the world and be able to have this experience again, like I would love to do a New York thing where like it's very personalized. You go to those big showrooms and they have so many options. Everywhere I went, it was like a small, bridal store where they're carrying, I don't know, like a certain amount of designers and that's it. Yeah. So I would say like, try on a lot of different dresses that even you think that you're like, I don't think that this is the silhouette for me. But because I think also trying on different silhouettes helped me to solidify that I was like, okay, I know I do want to drop waist. Like I do think that that's the direction I want to go in.
Yeah.
And so that helped me a lot.
Yeah. No, 100%. Do you have any advice for brides that might want to go the vintage route but aren't quite sure, like if it's right for them or if they're really ready to commit to like, the reconstruction process of it all? Do you have any tips kind of now being on the other side of it? I just think so many brides are so interested in finding these types of needles in haystacks, now?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. I would say like you have to be ready for the journey.
Okay.
Because truly and you have to have a really good tailor that I think like you trust and have a good relationship with, that you can have like open dialogue with as well. So I would say like first maybe find a really good tailor that you love and then say, do I want to go the vintage route? Yeah. Right. But yeah. And I also think like you have to be willing to maybe like take a risk and kind of maybe if it is like, okay, your only opportunity then is maybe to look online on things like Poshmark or The Real Real, or I don't even know where you can buy like vintage dresses online for weddings. But I think you have to be willing to say, hey, this may be a total flop, and I just have to like mentally accept that and try something else.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of brides do this on TikTok now, where they've just ordered like boxes of like vintage preserved wedding dresses. Yeah. There was this woman who did this. There was like a whole series. And it's just like fascinating to watch what people kind of pull out of the box. So I think there's like, that's the point there is like, you kind of have to be willing to dig a little bit, to get a little dirty, to get a little, to do the hunt and just kind of like test and see what works. Right.
There's also this girl she's based in Atlanta. I don't know. I found her, I've seen her on TikTok, but she like takes a bunch of girls like mom's wedding dresses and reworks them to like make them cute.
I know
and
her.
fun.
I ran her wedding. Katie. Her name's Katie.
I think yes.
WWW is her handle on Instagram. I'm obsessed with her.
I was like, but she does the cutest, coolest things with these dresses that I wouldn't even like know how to even start the process of trying to like make this work, something that's like looks so 80s or whatever era that was in. And she like transforms them. And these girls look so cute.
These cool like 2-piece sets, the suits, the shorts.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like I'm wearing my mom's wedding dress anymore. It's I'm completely transforming it to be something that I love. Yeah. And I think it's like really special, and her work is like next level.
Yeah, it's
good.
So cool.
Okay, speaking of TikTok, your second wedding dress went a little viral on there, and it was just as fabulous and fun as the first. And I think the search for the second dress, especially now, is just as critical as the search for the first. So tell me about how you found that one, how it differed in style. Like, it definitely looked like you had a lot of fun with it.
I loved that dress.
Okay. Yes.
Like, I hate to say maybe I loved it more than my wedding dress, but like
you kind of said it though on
felt
TikTok,
so,
didn't you?
I kind of did. I was like, it was just so fun. Yeah. Like the second I put it on, I was like, I feel like totally myself in this dress. But that was from Moda Operandi.
Okay.
And so I had been looking for a second dress for forever and really was just looking online, trying to find something that I hadn't seen before. Like there was a bunch of second dresses that I'm like, I love this, but I feel like now I've seen it on 10 different brides.
Yeah. Yep.
And so at that point, I bought and purchased and returned a bunch of options throughout this experience. And I kind of wish I would have like documented that more just to like see, because like now I don't even know if I remember how many there were. But I was like, do I want to go full sequence? Do I want to go this? And then knowing that we were getting married in July, I was like, I do want it to be a mini. But I want to feel comfortable and still feel like I can dance. So anyways, it was like so many things.
Yeah. And you transformed, like your personality left with your first dress and really blossomed in the second one. I'll tell you, when she entered back in, which is so hilarious. We're going to talk about the weather in just a second. But when she entered into this tent, she had to have a trash bag over her dress to protect her. So she had her first reveal of the tent during the day before ceremony. She saw everything. Yeah. Great. She was like, you're a loving princess during this time. I would kind of describe personality. And then when she walks into this tent in this second dress, it was like, wow, like drop mic right now. And it was just, it's crazy to see what fashion will do and transform like someone's personality and how you feel. But I think that for us was probably the biggest hype second dress wedding of 2024. Like that dress was it. It went viral on Instagram, like through our page. It went viral on TikTok. I mean,
it was so fun.
Yeah, it drew the crowd
favorite. It had some poofs on the hips.
It
some
did.
Cool detailing down that middle.
It was wild.
Yeah.
And like unintentionally, it stuck with like my floral theme,
yes.
which like was, in hindsight, I was like, did I do this, subconsciously? I don't know. I just remember like seeing that dress and being like, that's it. And I got it. And honestly, it was too small, but it was the last one available. And I couldn't find it anywhere else.
I'm making this work.
And I remember I ordered it to my mom's house. It came one weekend that I went to go like do another fitting. And I tried it on and I was like so upset. I was like, gosh, I want this dress to work so bad and it's too small and I'm so bummed and I just have to keep looking for this second dress. And my mom was like, just take it tomorrow and see if she can take it out. Yeah. And then I took it and literally she was like, oh yeah, this will be easy. She's like, there's enough fabric here that we can just like pull out the sides a little bit. And it was insane.
It's always worth taking the shot.
Yes.
Truly always worth taking the shot. My own wedding dress, like I've got some arms and like it was the same deal. I couldn't, there was no other option.
Yes.
I didn't go like the traditional route and I was like, this isn't going to work. And then I just bopped it over to a tailor and they're like, we can easily take things out. So I feel like people get kind of locked in.
They do.
On like, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. It's like, just give it a go. To your point, tailors are everything. Okay, but I feel like we absolutely need to talk about the tent. We need to talk about the weather. We need to talk about the color palette. We need to talk about all of these things. This beautiful soft green and pink color palette, trellises everywhere. Tell us a little bit. I mean, you guys partnered on this vision. Tell us a little bit about where the story of the design came from, because I feel like all good designs kind of come from a story or personality or things that you love.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like I can't like take credit for it. Like this was literally all Tori's.
Tori, you genius.
Tori is like a visionary, and she like sees things that even I think going into it, I was like, I don't know, is it gonna be too like feminine? I was so worried about that it was gonna be too feminine.
Yeah.
Because initially I was like, I just want white florals, I think is what I told you. I was like, I want all white, classy, maybe with some like touches of green. And she was like, okay, what about if we...
How about no?
Yeah, she's like, what about if we did something way more fun and different and unique? And I remember you showing me this mock-ups and I was like, I love it. I did love it. Like immediately was like, this is so fun. This is so great. And Tori does a great thing of feeding into my ego. And she's like, you're so unique and different. You need something unique and different.
But it's true.
And I was like, okay.
But it's true. Look at your style. Look at who you are.
I knew, and you have evolved so much even post-wedding. And like, this is what I was seeing. Like, we'll talk about it in a second, but she like cut her hair off after the wedding. Like obviously it's up today, but she did a big chop. And I think it just goes to show like your transformation and how I knew you were going to keep growing into fashion. We're going to talk about that in a second too. But yeah, it's crazy. The first thing I presented like monochromatic. I wanted to do monochromatic florals and coloring. And on our very first design deck presentation, actually, she scratched the very first color, which was yellows, because you were like, absolutely not.
That's, yes, I forgot about that.
Yes, but that's the feedback we need. I always tell our brides, you have to be honest. You have to say, no, that's not it. Because I didn't want to spend the whole time focused on this color, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
So she cut it. Then she was open to the pinks and the greens. The biggest thing she just told me is that I don't want Brewer feeling like Brewer fiance, now husband, is going to be sitting in a tea party. We're like, absolutely not. It's not going to be a tea party. So then we compromised into the design and made sure like the tablescape was a little bit more neutral. We gave her ultimate wish, though, still having all white flowers. So the head table was all white.
Okay.
And that like kind of suited that vision. So she wasn't like completely like, oh, I'm not going to have white here. Head table's all white, and then the tables and the whole design was like the pink. And I really wanted to do something different in the tent. We like to do statement pieces, and then that's when I presented to her like the concept of a tree, a large tree.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait, I think I'm here for it. Like I said,
my gosh.
all right. And I was like, that's like kind of like all we needed to hear. And then we just went from there.
Yeah. And it was incredible. And the amount of people still, especially I think more of like, my mom gets this feedback, But like even we were talking about how I was coming to talk to you this weekend when she was here, and she's like, still to this day, people come up to me and they go, that was the most stunning, like breathtaking wedding I've ever been to. Because I do think like when you're walking up or when you were walking down to the tent, you couldn't really see the top of how big the tree was. And then you go in and you're like, holy shit, like this thing is huge.
27 feet to be exact in width. Whoa.
It was wild.
Yes.
And just like truly, I mean, I had never seen anything like that before either. So I think people were just like, oh my God, this is truly like nothing we've ever seen before, and such a good, and like, oh my, it was stunning.
Yes.
It was perfect.
And the storyline, like we always want to figure out what's the nuggets. And so then we knew that Brewer loved golf, hence they got married on a golf course. And so we're like, well, how do we help him feel like he's being heard too? Because me and Payton obviously were talking everything design. And so then we came up with an idea for the golf course seating chart. So it was, we had caddies and decked out uniforms that had their new last name on it. And guests really ate that up. I mean, they were walking up and they didn't really want to leave. I mean, I'm like, wait, they're hanging out with our caddies now. And they got a scorecard sheet, it assigned them to the table. I mean, it was just a full experience, but I think that's what we wanted to do was focus on the experience for your guests because they did come from all over.
Yes.
I think the experiential part is such an important one. I feel like we talk about weddings now and what makes them really impactful. It's like guest experience, experiential weddings. And like that doesn't surprise me at all that's like that the guests were hanging out with the caddies, or that this is something that people still talk about. It's just like it's an easy way to kind of make your wedding stand out, I think. Like instead of just like snapping up a piece of paper, it's like having staff around to just kind of make this like to be welcoming and to have a little thematic moment. I think it's so fun. And
like the golf balls, like I think I texted you the next day to be like, hey, do you have any of the golf balls? Because like we only have one. Like they were literally taken
so they're
by
branded.
Everyone.
They were branded golf balls. That's something else the guests got just as like a little touch.
Yeah.
But yes, people were going back for seconds and thirds. I mean, at one point, one of the guests pulled the caddy to go hit a golf ball. Like he was there acting. He's not actually a golfer, but he does play golf. Thanks, Al, if you're listening. But they went and they were like, we just want to get an action shot with him having the last name on it. And I'm like, and they are just eating it up. And I'm like, wait, I actually need to get the guests seated. Like they are having like as if we're at Top Golf right now.
Yeah.
Okay, but
so
like
funny.
a Top Golf inspired cocktail hour could be amazing.
Yeah.
Like the guys would love that.
Yes, they loved it. You know who really loved it, which I thought was so cute because like this is just not his personality in that way, but my now father-in-law was like, I love that they had Carter on their back of their like Carter was everywhere of like our last name. He just thought that was so cool, which I thought was really cute.
Yes, I know. I did. I love branded. It's just the details, you know, the smallest of things, and the guests just love it too because they feel like, oh wait, and people are keeping their scorecards. So the purpose of the scorecard was simply just to say what table you're going to. But then at the end of the night, when everyone's packing up and they're going to look for their belongings, they're like, wait, where's our scorecard sheet? Where's the scorecard? And to me, I'm like, wait, that's it. Like, that's the moment because I'm like, they care so much about this little sheet of paper because it was that memory and it had all the branding on it. And you know what I mean? I think that was really cute to see at the end of the night.
And I think that's what a lot of people are like actively searching for, like those favors, those branded touches, like what are the things that people are going to want to keep. And I feel like when you can connect like an object to the memory, like that's when you've really kind of struck gold there. 100%. Okay, not talking about striking gold, but we're talking about striking lightning next, potentially.
Yes.
Should we talk about weather drama?
Yeah, let's just pour the tea on this one.
Yeah.
So we have a tent, one, because it's not just there for the design for the production, but also weather. We know that we never wanted a ballroom. Well, I say we, me, you, your family.
Yeah.
Ballroom was never the vision.
Yeah.
And the ceremony was even outside, so it was there for a weather backup. We knew following the weather that week there was a chance of rain.
Yeah.
Not a storm, but there was a chance of rain.
I mean, you know, it's like summer storms.
Summer storms in South Carolina.
Yeah.
They pop up
Also,
every other day.
We love a tent. Okay, we love a tent.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the only weather discussion we had, me and you, was truly about the ceremony because that was the only thing uncovered.
Yeah.
And then I was messaging my weatherman, and he was like, hey, you're good. You're going to be solid. During cocktail hour, might be a few sprinkles, but ceremony, 30 minutes, you're solid. Because me and you were like, oh, gosh, the ballroom, we just can't do.
Yeah.
So we did it. That was it. And once we got through ceremony, we did start seeing some dark clouds roll in, and we're like, still, it's going to be great. Everyone's inside the tent. And then everyone's having a blast. The vendors go up to eat their meal, and I get up there and I receive a letter. A letter, folks. Snail mail. Honestly, it could have
snail mail.
It could have been, junk mail for all I know. We could have never opened it, but it had my name on it. I open it up, and it says that we're shutting down your event due to 7 miles of lighting in the radius. And we're like, 7 miles, and there's lighting. Well, that's every day in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Like, there's always gonna be heat lighting and things like that. So, I make a few phone calls. No one's interrupting the guests, or the tent at the moment, but make a few phone calls, and essentially they says, we're pulling our bar and all of our staff. We'll let you keep the tent, because I had our tent vendor there who's the owner of the company. He says, hey guys, I accept liability. There is no issue. Our tent can withstand anything right now. I feel fully confident. It survived hurricanes, for God's sake. This is okay. Well, when the staff was going down there, your dad started seeing things, and he's like, wait, why is our bar being shut down? So I pull him very quietly behind the tent, behind the stage, and I tell him what's going on. He says, absolutely not. This is before they did agree to not shut down the event. So at this time, I'm talking to your dad, and they're shutting down your event, and we're moving y'all inside to this ballroom. And he says, well, what's the purpose of having the tent then if rain came? He was right. Absolutely was he right. So your dad got involved and have extra client enforcement. We're keeping you out of the loop so you can keep dancing. You don't know a thing.
I literally was so oblivious.
No, you were having the time of your life.
To all of it.
So we absolutely were not coming close to you.
Yeah.
And so your dad and me, we navigated through it. It took us about 10 minutes. What we settled on was the bar had to go up to the clubhouse, and late night bites had to go up to the clubhouse.
Yes.
Food at this point in time was already served. Dinner was over. Y'all were dancing.
Yeah.
So what was unfortunate for us is that they were like, oh, in 30 more minutes of no lighting, we can send everyone back down there. Like, are we at a swimming pool? Because I thought that was the only rule for swimming.
Yes.
Because we knew that it was never going to stop.
But granted, like, everyone is still in the tent.
Everyone's still in the tent.
So you're like, you're not really concerned about the safety of us.
No, it was just their staff.
There was no, like, evacuate the dance floor.
Exactly.
No.
You were on the dance floor.
Yes.
Yeah, through the whole thing they were.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, the rest of the night, the guests were having to go up to the clubhouse and get their drinks and have a late night bite. But at the end of the day, and it's funny because I'm not sure even how much of this you knew, we were wondering what your family was going to tell you, like after y'all recapped the wedding, like a week later or days later or whatever it was going to be.
Yeah.
Because I was like, are they ever going to ask and like, why are all of our guests going up and down? But I mean, your guests, honestly, were just having such a good time. They're like, fine, I don't care. We'll go up there. We'll use the bathroom.
Yes.
We'll drink. We'll come right back down.
Yeah.
And it was raining still, but guests were just like literally in the rain, dancing in the rain, going back. And I think it's just all about the attitude. But it is one of those things, though. It's just like, wow, the stories that we have. And I think for me, it all began with a simple snail mail letter.
I know. That's insane.
During an active event.
That's crazy. I mean, that's how they told you.
Yeah, I honestly could have opened it a week later.
Very Victorian.
I mean, I could have thought that it was a thank you card.
Yes.
I mean,
hello. It's like a very Down Abbey way of telling you.
Yes.
You're like, dear Tori.
Right.
Yeah, no, truly. They should have said, dear madam.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I would have opened it, thing was a thank you card a week later.
Yeah. That is crazy.
Yes,
What's so funny is like, okay, so I was told the day after, or like the few days after, of like some of what happened. I didn't know like it was going to be fully shut down. But also there's these pictures of, so when it started storming, I had ran up right before that because I was like, it's coming. I want to change and I don't want to be soaked. So went up to change into my second dress. We kind of like hid out for a second while it was like just downpouring. And I remember being like, ugh, like really disappointed. But then also it kind of like Brewer was like, there's literally nothing we can do about it. Like, let's enjoy it. We can't control the rain. And the clouds, though, some of like our pictures where there's these huge storm clouds in the back with the ocean, they actually look so sick. Like, we got some really cool pictures because of that.
Rain can be amazing for photos.
Yes.
Overcast weather, like I think people need to know that. Like there's like that's a photographer's dream. They're like, great, I don't have to contend with full sun. Beautiful. Your photos are gonna be sick. I've seen so many amazing overcast borderline rainy, if not full blown hurricanes forming for wedding days. Like there are so many ways to make it work.
And I think everyone had like gotten their big pictures beforehand. And so like a lot of the girls were just like, I'm wet and it's fine. And like, I don't really care at this point.
Dancing,
There's,
they're
they're like, there's
Come
nothing
on.
I can do. And the rain, honestly, thank goodness, like it really cooled everything down because it was so hot that day, which also I was so nervous about, just like sweating my face off the whole day. And the rain really like brought it down like 10 degrees and made the tent like way more enjoyable weather-wise. But yeah, and then even like weaves the funniest stories of some of like our friends' parents running down like with like beers, running down with like 5 or 6 beers in their hands, just like handing them out. Like it kind of made it feel like a college party or like a house party in a way. So
no, your guests really had a blast with it. For us, we were so baffled about the process, but we were like, hey, we just want these people happy. And they had drinks in their system. They found the late night bite. So we're like, great.
I think like what I have come to realize, and I think so many people feel this way after the weddings too, is like what money can't buy is the people that you have around you. 100%. And when that energy is so good and when your guests are vibing and like running up to grab beers and throwing them out and like it's no big deal, like that's kind of like what it's all about. You know? And you can't buy that. You can't manufacture that. Like that has to already exist with the people around you, and it just makes everything like 100% amazing.
Yeah.
So I feel like the point of this, right, is like things go wrong, right? Like
100%.
You get a random letter that your event's going to be shut down in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like
that's wild.
Tori was ransomed essentially. Okay. Like taken hostage as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
But like things go wrong, right? Like that happens at every wedding. Something doesn't go to plan, you know, and it's just about how you deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Were there anything else that didn't go to plan or wasn't as you expected it to be?
The thing is like I feel like I was kept so out of it in a good way. So like if there was, I was like, la da da da, I don't even know, nor do I care. In the process of leading up to this, sure, absolutely, but like actual day of that week, I was just like, we're already here. Everything's going to work out. I knew you were going to like work your magic no matter what. I was like, this girl knows what she's doing. Okay. We're going to be fine. So yeah, I'd be like, but day of, I mean, not that I knew of. I'm sure that you could name 20 other things that maybe happened.
Yeah. You know, besides that big little doozy, no.
A big little doozy.
Yeah. I mean, we were Gucci, honestly.
All right, what about during the planning process? You said that there were a few things that maybe didn't go as planned.
Yeah. You know, I've told so many people this feedback in the sense that like when I've had obviously so many friends get married and they're all like planning a wedding is a terrible experience. And I always was like, well, that's your experience.
Right?
My experience is going to be great. Like, and in my mind, I was like, you're obviously a bridezilla. And then now once you get in it, you're like, okay, this actually is a really not great experience. Like I was very naive going into it. And it's not like the experience itself. Like my meetings with Tori were always like so fun and uplifting and great. And I think I like even cried on the phone with you and you're like, it's going to be great. Yeah. Like she was just like, girl, we got it. And, but like, it really is like the navigation between my family, my husband's family. I really didn't think I was going to like experience some of what, some of like, I don't want to say the conversations, but some of like the pushback that I received. And so that was very interesting. So I would say like that is definitely the largest like hurdle that I came on. But I also think like in hindsight, I'm so grateful that I had those experiences with my parents and even with my husband's parents.
Yeah. It's a learning experience, I think. And like we've talked about this too, like when you are getting married, in the process of getting married, it's your first time navigating this. Every couple is going through this the first time. And like the blending of families and navigating like a myriad of traditions and making everybody feel seen and heard, it can be so complicated. But I think like the level of pushback that couples get is a crazy experience. And like it's like one of the first times I think that you're ever confronted with like, well, why? Or like, why do you want to do it that way? Or like, are you sure about that? And it really like kind of have to start enforcing those boundaries that you have around you too.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I got to witness it, with your family because I talked a lot to her parents. And I think it's just the age difference from what weddings used to be. Let's just say 30, 40 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like when your parents got married versus when you're getting married. And they were so pleasant to talk to. Like your dad needed more explanation. He needed to be educated. And those are conversations I want to have versus putting the bride in the hot seat because, like she said, it can be very difficult. I mean, she had to have a lot more than just what I did. But I remember just being there and whatever question had to happen, it had to happen. Like just the education of a tent. No one really understands that unless you're in it. And why should they, right? Like they're not putting up tents every weekend.
Yes.
But like what goes into a tent, what's needed for the tent. And I remember your dad, even asking like, do we have to like set this up prior? It can't be done day of. I'm like, it can't be done day of.
Yeah.
But like, that's a question, right?
Of course it's a valid question.
Yes.
Of course it is.
But like if they were to have that conversation with Payton, and I think they did, and she was like, I don't know.
Yes.
That's what I'm there
because
for.
Because Payton doesn't know anything about it.
No,
exactly.
Right. Why should she? And so those are the conversations that you really lean on the planner to lead, to guide.
100%.
Almost like I like to say I wear a hat as a therapist. Like,
yes.
I mean, heck, I go through no therapy lessons myself. Like, honey, let me borrow the hat. And so I think that's kind of like, how it all happened.
I think so too. And I think like it's the benefit of having a planning team and being able to have somebody that can shoulder some of that educational work. Because it's so hard to you're already handling a million other things.
Yeah.
I think about weddings as like they're like two family reunions happening at one time with a concert in the middle of it. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, what do you like? And you're like, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know until you're in it. And it can be so chaotic. So having somebody to help lighten the load is everything.
Well, and like there's nothing, like you can look up how much does an average wedding cost? Nothing's accurate on that.
Goodness gracious.
Yes. I'm like, it's so wrong. And it just like doesn't portray anything that like my parents would look up. They're like, well, this is different than what I'm seeing. And there's so many times that I had to like remind my mom and my dad to say, like Tori's the expert here. Like she is the one that knows this information. We don't know this information.
Right.
Like if I'm going to go to someone who has this background, I'm going to put my faith in that person. And also I'm like, we're paying her. We're doing all this stuff for a reason. We need to trust what she's saying to us.
Right.
And I think they were like, you're right.
Yeah.
And also they were like, what else? What are our other options? Like there really isn't any as well.
We really did look all over.
Yeah.
Fun fact, we actually started international with you.
We did.
We were going to go international.
Yeah.
Where were you thinking?
Well, that was another conversation with my parents. Where initially, and I said this to my mom and she's like, I don't think that's right. But I was like, well, Mom, I pretty sure it's like also like, I think that is kind of well known. In a lot of cases, it is cheaper to get married internationally, not always, but I think you can do a European wedding depending on where you are more financially kind of, responsibly than in the US just because of the market. And so I shared that with my parents and they were like, there's no way that's correct. And they still are like, I don't think that's right. And I was like, I'm not lying to you about this.
Yeah. It was a lot. I would say our hardest decision, but correct me if I'm wrong, was getting that venue.
Yes.
Because we started, and typically she was actually our only bride ever in our history that we started international search and we ended up back in domestic because usually we always know which route you're going.
Yeah.
Either you know you're going to be destination but domestic or you're going to be destination international.
Yep.
We were entertaining both concepts, but really international first. Yeah. And then landed back closer to home.
Yeah.
So
that's fascinating.
Yeah, we've talked about Europe. We talked about somewhere in like
Caribbean.
The Caribbean.
Yeah.
We even thought about Mexico for a second. I think ultimately like my mom would have loved for me to get married in Birmingham. I think like now in hindsight, she's like, I'm so grateful we didn't do it there. But at the time she's like, it's so easy. Like, why wouldn't we just hit the easy button when everything else has maybe been a little difficult? But I also was like, she's the social butterfly, as you know.
Yes.
And she has a million friends, which I love that she does. But I was like, everyone that you've ever met is going to be at this wedding if we have it in Alabama. Yeah. And I'm like, and I don't want that. I knew I wanted something on the smaller scale. I didn't want it to be just like because I've been to weddings where it just feels like it's just the parents' friends, which is fine. And also I'm like, I want you all to have as good a time at this wedding as I'm having. Like, this is also about you and it's for you as well. But I also was like, I don't want to feel overwhelmed with everyone that you've ever played tennis with, you know? So
Not the tennis club.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you navigate that though? How did you work on like reducing a guest count or like finding a guest list that felt reflective of who you wanted and who your parents wanted? Because this is another one that like it's another big deal to a lot of couples too.
Yeah. I mean, I would say from like the guest side, both me and my husband have a smaller extended family.
Okay.
So that automatically kind of like cut down on people in that sense. And we also had an idea of like who would travel to come from our family as well. So we had a sense of like family members who we thought were going to be there, which was really nice because it and also I think a lot of times you try to keep those numbers even to say like, my parents are inviting this many people, your parents should also invite this many people, or this is how many invites that every side of the family is receiving.
Stick to a system.
Just to keep it like fair and honest, right? So that kind of made that whole part a lot easier, which was nice. And I also think just from like the guest perspective, and my parents were also on board with this, that I'm like, I've always wanted I don't want to say intimate, because like, I think we had like 80 people there at the end of it.
Oh, I think you were actually like.
Was it more than that?
Yeah, like 110.
Okay.
Yes.
But I think
that's like moderate.
Yes.
That's not massive. That's a great number.
No, it was great.
Yeah. And then I think, but we invited like 150.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was very happy with that.
Every wedding needs a few no's.
Yes. And that's kind of the numbers that we wanted to stick to. And my parents were very much on board with that. I think also just like financially, they're like, let's keep this.
That's what I was just
in the safety zone.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Because for us, when we're educating the client, it's always going to start with that guest count.
Guest count.
So like if her dad, for example, because he was really the finance guy, I would say, if I would have told him if he wanted 300 people, he would not have liked the price tag that came with that. Because when you think about it, it's not just food and bev, that's the tables, that's the flowers, that's everything. And so I knew that when he had set a budget, I said, you cannot exceed then this guest count. So that also obviously will help brides, when they're thinking about that guest count is, okay, then what's realistic? Here's the vision, here's the price, here's what we should not exceed. And sometimes just the budget itself will cut those guests. Yeah. And so that way you don't feel bad. It's like, oh wait, do I really want Aunt Joe to come? Yeah. Or truly is it going to exceed the budget, or whatever the case may be. But the budget, drops the guest count, I feel.
Absolutely.
It does.
I am so passionate about lower guest count for getting what you want. Same. And I think like it's always better. I got married with a wedding of 35 people, so that was as small as it gets. That sounds like perfect,
really. Though. Yeah, truly.
But it allowed us to make more impactful design decisions. It allowed us to like the price per head can be higher when your guest count is lower. You can invest more, do more, spend more on that guest experience, on all of those things that matter. And it like makes it next level. 110 is a beautiful number. I really think that's like a really nice sweet spot.
Great.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah. It was great.
Maybe that's my new sweet spot.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like I loved it. But we were talking about zodiac signs or horoscopes earlier. Oh, yes. But like both me and my husband are Cancers. Okay. And like traditionally that's like we like small circles. Like it's an intimate amount of people around us, like just in our personal lives anyways. Yeah. Like I have always just feel like I've run in a smaller circle, but those people are like my people, ride or die. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he, I think, is the same way as well. So we also were like, I always said this to him, where I was like, I want to be able to look around our wedding and look in that room and just immediately say, everyone that actually like that we love and loves us is here, and that's what it's so important. And I don't want to see kind of random people that I'm like, I don't really know you, or like, why are you here? It was someone's random invite. So we worked really hard to make sure that we were like intentional around that as well.
At 110, did you feel like you were able to like chit chat and greet and speak to, or did you still feel like there was a little bit of like people that you didn't see as much as you would have liked? Like I feel like that's another one too.
That's a good point. Yeah. Not so much. Like I do feel like I saw everyone over like the
full day.
few days of the wedding, right? Of the experience. Like I'm so glad that we did like a welcome cocktail hour, because that was a great way to see people the night before. But yeah, I mean, the day is such a whirlwind. Like it's over in a snap.
So fast.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is
so like the day it could have been 12 hours longer, and I still feel like it wouldn't have been enough time.
And always try to encourage brides. They should definitely do like a full multi-day event experience. And would you agree that that helped you out?
100%.
Really getting intimate.
Yes. Well, and like I said, just even having like a cocktail hour the day before, which ours was like very chill, very relaxed.
Yeah.
But it helped me like see a lot of like my sorority sisters who live out of town who came in, who I'm like, I won't be able to spend that much time with you, just because the day of the wedding, you're gone all day. Until that you actually walk down the aisle. Then that's the first time you see people. So,
You kind of like need that. To, like, it's like a warm up. You know?
Exactly.
Icebreaker warm up, like gets you kind of in like the right headspace to do this, because it can be like you live your life. You're a normal human being. You go about your day, and then suddenly, boom, you are in a room where absolutely everybody is looking at you. It's all about you. And that can be, I think, jarring for a lot of people. Like, I don't know, like everybody's different, right? Center of attention. Some people are comfy with it. Some of it are like, get me out of here. But I think those like prelude days, like, they're so warm and welcoming. And even if you do something chill, right? Like, it doesn't need to be massive, but just gets you in the right zone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was a great time for me to like say hi to like my parents' friends and things like that, where you're like, well, truth be told, I don't want to spend all day tomorrow on my wedding day talking with you. I want to like be on the dance floor with my friends. So it helped to get like that polite factor where you're like, thank you so much for being here. That type of conversation kind of over and done with. So I was like, great. Next day, like
full focus on you and what you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Love that so much. Okay, I'm kind of curious, like planning process, like, you know, you were working with Tori. How did you and Brewer kind of like partner up during this process, if you did at all? Or like, was this something that you handled, something that you worked on together? I feel like, I don't know, everybody handles things a little bit differently, and it can be fun to see how people plan weddings together.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think I leaned on him a lot, just like emotionally. Like, because I could call him after like having a difficult conversation and like just try to work through it or talk through it. But at that time, like he was trying to finish residency. Like he had his own crazy stressful life happening. We were living apart because he didn't live in Atlanta. He was again finishing residency. So he was about like an hour and a half away in another town in Georgia, but like, so it wasn't that far, but it was enough where I was like, ugh, like if you were just here, this could be so much easier. So that was an interesting experience.
And it's like long distance.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Planning a wedding long distance is no joke.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And so he, like there was things that he definitely cared about that I was like, I want to pull you in and have your opinion on this. But like, even with the florals, like I didn't really tell him the color scheme because I didn't want him to be like, I don't want pink flowers everywhere. And then, like, he's never said anything about it. Like, even now, he's never been like, yeah, it was a lot of pink. He was like, oh, it was great. Like,
he was a
best day
king.
ever. Yeah.
Yes.
But, like, he really is, like, he's a chill guy for the most part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, he was so chill. The sweetest person in the room. He's kind of quiet, like, soft-spoken, I would say. But no, I loved it when he walked into the reveal because I didn't think he was aware of every little thing.
He was not.
So he walked in, I mean, he just took it all in the same way. I mean, he was thrilled. Whether he really was thrilled, but he was like thrilled in the moment. I'm like, wow, this is the most emotional like I've seen from him this whole time. But then he just like had the best time, and so I'm glad that he ended up loving it because they were like, slay. I mean, you're busy, honey, with school. We don't want to bother you.
Exactly.
We're booked and busy making decisions over here.
Exactly.
You ladies had it handled.
Yeah. He was big involved in like the music, like all the music that we chose.
Nice.
That was really important to him. But that was about like probably the main thing, and the food. He had some food feedback.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
At the tasting.
Yes. But again, he's like, that's really all I care about is good food and good music. And I'm like, great. Yeah, we can do that.
What was your first dance song?
It was Charles Wesley Godwin.
Love this
again.
so much.
That was more brewer's choice again.
Okay.
We went through a lot of options.
Okay.
But he's like, I want something that truly feels like us as a first dance song.
Yeah.
And he played that song for me, and it has the lyrics are very sweet. And yeah, I was like, you know what? I agree. I feel like this feels like us. And we'd never heard anyone use that before as well. So there were some songs that were like, we love this, but we also have now heard it 12 times as people first dance songs.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think like that's the struggle too. It's like you want something that's your own that like can't help falling in love by Elvis Presley.
Do we see the theme
No
here,
shade
though?
on that song.
Like, you keep saying a statement that we hone in on as a company, but you're like, I don't want something that someone else has done.
Yeah.
You said it earlier about the dress. You said it now about the song. You said it about the design. And I think that's just what I love about Payton is that she was so intentional making sure, like, my wedding cannot be a replica of anything. And it's not that any other weddings are bad that's done it. It's just that you want it to feel yourself. And I think that's what every wedding should be. It should be intentional. Go out the box.
Yeah.
What do y'all want to do?
Yeah.
Like, let's just not go to Pinterest and say common first dance songs or Google.
Yeah.
You know, and those songs are great. And they were great when they were like the first, second, and third, but like you said, like 100 times. Or you see a design done so many different ways. But I just love that about her because she was so intentional about making sure that was always a goal. Was something that's different for us.
Yeah.
Well, you also did a good job of like making that happen.
Yeah.
That was a lot of you.
Yeah. Well, I had your support.
But like intention, execution.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, and I think that's the way a good partnership works when it comes to couples and planning teams. But like that level of intention needs to be there, and it like makes sense for you, right? Like you chose a vintage dress because you love fashion and you love to thrift. Like you chose a first dance song that had lyrics that 100% spoke to you. You chose a design that felt just right, like that was predicated on a few of your favorite colors, you know? So like you have to be like, I think, you know, to Tori's point, people go on the internet and they see things and they're like this, and it gets to be this like trend cycle and this trend kind of like crazy whirlwind, then you kind of lose self and personality in it. And I think like that's kind of the point, is just like starting with the things that you do every day, the things that you love all the time, and letting that lead your wedding design. 100%. And like that's when the magic happens. Like this was featured on Over the Moon, you know, like so you had like a really nice payoff at the end here, which is like, you know, so special. So tell us about that. How did the publication process go?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like probably you know more about this than I do.
Tori
but Tori was essentially like, even day up, I think you're like, girl, we're going to get you in something.
Yeah.
And I was like,
You're
don't
like,
tell me that
this
unless
is
you
gonna
mean
be
it.
good. Yes.
I was like, don't get my hopes up, Tori. Yes.
Truly. No, I tossed out a few
to
you and what the goal was. And I just knew the dress story alone was just so special. And then I knew the design, and I said, hey, we're not going to run with this. We're not going to release the wedding because usually they want to have a hard, you know, release on it. We did one little teaser. And then we heard back in the winter. I mean, it was kind of like maybe before December, maybe December, November. Her wedding was in July for reference. And they agreed. You filled out the questionnaire. It was like probably a page-long questionnaire.
Yep.
And then they ran it this year in spring. And so it was so nice. What did Brewer think?
I mean, I think he was excited because I was excited.
Okay.
Like, he knew how excited I was.
Yeah.
But he was like, he didn't really care if it was ever featured in anything. But I think he thought it was really cool. And I know, like, his mom thought it was really cool, and she shared it with a bunch of her friends. So, like, that's always fun as well.
Yes.
To have that excitement.
And it is kind of like an extension of, like, honestly, like, who you are. You're like, you love fashion so much. I know you recently got out of corporate. You're doing something with fashion, which you have to tell us.
What are you doing?
What are you doing with fashion?
I am just working with a company that's just a men's clothing brand.
Cool.
But before this, I did tech sales.
Okay.
So yeah, it's fun to actually like be in a more of a creative environment. It's been a fun experience so far.
And it's crazy because your wedding was full of fashion, but you were in corporate world, corporate girly during the time. And then it's kind of like your wedding was like an awakening. You cut your hair, you continue to elevate on social media, TikTok. I mean, you went full, swing on TikTok, sharing so many different looks. Well, drop her name for y'all to go listen and then look at her. But then you drop the news that you're done with corporate world, you're going into fashion, and no matter what you go into, I just think that this wedding though was the groundwork. I feel like just like your personal identity just continued to blossom. That's the way I look at it. I know I'm biased, so I'm like obsessed. But I just feel like that was like a moment. Like y'all's wedding wasn't just a moment for y'all, but I feel like it was also like a personal identity, like just really blossomed. Like you just really shine.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I also like, I don't know, I've thought about doing like the Instagram thing or like just posting more of my stuff for a long time, but it is intimidating and scary. And then I was just like, you know what, I'm going to do it. But the wedding was truly like a catalyst where I'm like, I am so intentional about everything I'm going to wear, whether it's from like an engagement party to my bachelorette. Like I was like, this is like my, you know, Super Bowl. Like this is my one time to really just buy whatever I really want and do it big and just not give a shit, honestly.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me at all that a wedding would serve. It's a massive creative project.
Yeah.
You pour
Absolutely.
every ounce of your, like when you care about it, like when you actually care about like doing things outside of the box, right? Like it's just, it becomes such an extension of who you are, and you're like, wait, no, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
You know?
And I knew this was underneath Payton. I knew deep down this is like what she had in her. And then I had vendors start following you on TikTok. Like, oh my God. Like, wait, why am I getting all my info from her? I mean, she dropped so many links. She's the reason why I
Her
spent so
style's
much money.
awesome.
Yeah, she'll drop links. Oh wait, especially at Christmas and Thanksgiving. Like, oh, here's some sales I found. Okay, great, honey. I'm like clicking links.
We are shopping.
But I'm like, that's the Payton I knew. Like, I saw all this in you because you were already posting, like you said, for the wedding. And then afterwards, I'm like, okay, incredible cut. When you cut your hair, y'all, she's a different.
Did you do it at the wedding or after?
No.
Okay.
I do. I think that is so fun
I
when
love
like
it too.
girls do that between the ceremony and the reception.
Yep,
But
the
I
wedding
also
top.
mostly I was like, I don't want to spend my time getting my hair cut.
Right.
Like
Right.
that was my
'Cause,
thing.
Like, you want a good haircut
Yes.
then, right?
Well,
Like, it's
also
not just
I'm
a
like,
little...
this is like a party. Like I want to be out there in the party. So no, I did it after.
like a week or 2 weeks. Was it before the honeymoon?
It was after the honeymoon.
Okay.
I thought about doing it before the honeymoon, but I am honestly grateful that I didn't because we went to South Africa and did all those safaris. So it was just so easy to like be able to whip my hair back in a pony and call it a day, you know?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, on the other side of the wedding, right? You're a little bit over a year married.
Yeah.
Anything, you know, any advice to brides who are going through this process now that you have to share?
I would say like stick to your guns, you know, like stick to what you know that you want. And I think there's ways to do that in a reasonable way. You know, like there was definitely corners that I was like, well, I want this. And it just like maybe wasn't feasible. But I also will say like Tori made magic happen, like no matter what. She was a miracle worker. But I would say like, especially with like guest count, things like that, like stick to like things that you know that you can really control at the end of the day. And that's what helped me like feel very good going into it is like, okay, I'm not going to be overwhelmed. I know who's going to be there. I also was like, I really just care about, you know, like my dresses. So I was like, I'm just going to focus on the things that I'm like, I have full control over this. And that really helped that process as well. But I also think like having very open communication as much as you can with like everyone involved, whether that's your parents or your in-laws,
So true.
or even like, you know, your soon to be spouse.
Yeah.
Like that is the wedding planning process is such a way to really navigate conversations that you really didn't think that you would need to do at that moment. So it's scary, but at the light at the end of the tunnel, essentially, it's really enlightening and really, I'm really glad that like Brewer and I were able to work through a lot of those conversations, like prior to us actually getting married, you know?
Yep. 100%. Masterclass and over communication.
Yes.
That's what planning a
Yep.
wedding is.
And on that night, mic drop.
Yeah.
And that's truly that's what it's all about.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you've got to come back, honey. Like a year later, and we're chatting about the wedding. I am just so proud of you and everything that you're doing in life. And I can't wait for like one day for y'all to have kids and follow along the journey and just see what you do.
Thank you.
So I'm glad you got to
Thank you so
come
much.
today.
I've loved watching you.
Yeah.
I mean, you have truly like also transformed within a year. You look amazing. You're doing such cool stuff.
She's killing
And
it.
oh my, some of the people that you've been working with, Brewer will literally run in the room to be like, did you see that Tori's doing this person's wedding? And I was like, who is that? And he's like, he's the #1 NBA player right now. And I'm like, couldn't tell you, but I'm sure she
Look
is.
at Brewer being a true fan.
Yes.
See, like I never saw that side of Brewer. I love that though.
No, he thinks it's so
yeah.
cool.
Oh, I love that. Well, I am so glad you got to come, honey. And
Thank you.
I'm gonna keep following you.
Yeah, so nice to meet you.
Yeah, oh my God, it was so great
Yeah,
meeting
this was
you.
so fun.
Yeah, thank you guys
Thanks for
so
the
much.
chit-chat.
Mhm.
I loved it. Thank you so much.
Do you know your names pretty quick?
Yes.
Okay.
So my Instagram's at Payton Ashley, Payton. Ashley spelled how Ashley spelled. And then my TikTok is Payton Ashley _.
Okay, cool.
So
Y'all go follow
that's
her.
it.
It's worth it.
I followed her 3 days ago. It's 100% worth it. Go.
Slay.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Live with the Bride. Follow us on Instagram, watch us on YouTube, and let us know what topics you want to hear more about. See you next time.